Hey, and welcome to a brand new episode of Unblocking Your Purpose. I am your host, your girl Jada. I am happy for you to be back with me for another week. This episode is going to be primarily for my mamas, all right? We have been talking about finding our purpose. What is our purpose? And then getting to it being a messy situation, right? Like last week we talked about that and how to find the beauty even within the chaos and the madness and when things just don't go the way that we want them to go. And so that was for pretty much any busy woman out there, yes, still to my mamas. But this week, I want to talk to my moms about finding joy and purpose along with motherhood and becoming more than just a mom. I think a lot of times we get caught up in, okay, for me, I'm Olivia's mom, Amelia's mom, Langston's mom. And I'm like, I am, and I'm happy to be that. But I am also still Jada. I am still a daughter of God, and He has things for me that He needs me to get after. And not that I can't do those things by being their mom, but I still need to like show up in my own. You feel me? We still need to show up in who we have been called to be and purpose to be. So, this is from my mamas that we can find joy and we can find purpose and we can find all of these things along with being a mom, being a wife, being a friend, and all of those things. So I am going to get a little bit earlier into the episode with the scripture this week. So I look up different scriptures, what kind of fits, what resonates with what we're talking about for the week. And this particular verse comes from John 15:11 out of the NIV. And Jesus is going through and he's talking to his disciples and talking to his people, right? And he's telling them and giving them encouragement on things that they need to do. And so in verse 11, he says, I have told you this so that joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. So a lot of times we get swayed by things going on in the world, or are our babies happy, is work happy, like all these other things can oftentimes dictate how we feel. And we're in this flesh. I think that's just a human characteristic, right? Like if things are good around us, then we tend to be good. But I think what he was trying to say is that no matter what, if you have me, you have my joy. We have his peace. That no matter what we're going through, we can still work through that vein. And so that's why I chose this, because whether you're maybe you're still pregnant and someone sent you this and just things to come, right? Or maybe you're still doing the diaper thing. I have a couple of friends that have just recently had, another baby and so excited for that. And then I have friends that kids are out and they're doing their thing, but still a lot of times our identity is tied up into these babies. And it's great that we're there for them and God chose us to be their moms, but where's our joy? Where's our passion? Where's our purpose? It can't be all tied up into them. So, not that they are separate, not that motherhood is separate, but where's our joy? Where is our purpose? And I know last week might have been a little scary, right? If you listen to the episode, and I'm like, hey, just jump up in there. What are the things that you want to do, and know that the beauty doesn't have to come just at the result, but the journey that you're taking and the road that you're taking, the process, like there's beauty in all of that, right? But this is really to like, not to give you the permission, I always say that, but I just, if you feel like you need it, I am here to encourage you. Girl, you got it. Sis, it's on you. You can do this because you deserve it. And the thing is, when we are living in our best, when we're living in our greatest, when we're living and showing up as an example for these kids we're talking about, like what better testimony is there than that, for them to look and see that, yeah, mama had to do all these things for me. Mama chose to do these things for me, but mama didn't let herself completely just fall by the wayside and forget who she is. And she's showing up and she's showing me that, when it's my time to do that, when it's my time to have to sacrifice, that I am able to do that without completely giving up who I am. So we can still find joy and purpose and passion even in the midst of motherhood. So, we know motherhood changes everything. It changes our bodies, it changes our routines, sometimes it changes our dreams, right? And sometimes it can even change our sense of self and identity. It can do all of these, but that does not mean by any stretch of imagination that your purpose ended when your motherhood journey began. It didn't, or it shouldn't have, because that was not God's best for you. Like, yes, motherhood is wonderful, and yes, it is time consuming, and yes, it takes a lot out of us. I am not denying any of that because I am living proof, with my three babies. Um, but it shouldn't have taken away. Motherhood should be adding to who we are and whose we are and what we've been purposed to be in this life. You know, joy, it's not found in a vacuum. Like you shouldn't feel like, oh, I have to have these certain criteria in order for me to have joy. I mean, go back to the verse. If we have the joy that Jesus gave us, then regardless of the situation, we should be striving and thriving and doing great, even when it feels like everything around us is falling apart. We can still have joy. We can still have peace, right? So joy is not in a vacuum. It's not like, okay, I have to do this in order for me to be joyful. I have to do this to have gratitude. This has to be this way for me to be happy, right? Those are all kind of like temporary things, but if we have his joy, then no matter what, we should be good. Joy is not or should not be found in like, oh, like pre-kids. Oh yeah, I remember before this and I was able to do blah blah blah. Yeah, that was a different type of joy, I'm sure, right? So as we change and we evolve, then the joy is going to be different because we're finding it in different things and we're carrying it with us to basically say, hey, no matter what, I'm okay. I can find the good in these situations that I'm faced with. So they're not in a vacuum. They're not tied to your past. Joy isn't. Our purpose also evolves. When I was coming up and doing all my things for my careers, whether it was the military or doing my corporate job or before I became a civilian for the Department of the Army, that it just looked different. The purpose was different. Like I was driven to do certain things to reach certain ranks and reach certain goals, right? And now as a mom, my purpose is a little bit different because I do want to be that example for them. I do want to show up for them and I want to, and yes, I spoil my babies. I think a lot of us do because we're kind of in position to be able to. But my purpose is to teach them and to grow them and to make sure that they're ready to go face this world, right? And in doing that, I think a part of that is being authentic to me, being true to myself, being true to God, doing what and being obedient to Him, as we talked about last week. What are the things that I'm doing so that when my little people are looking at me, as well as other women that I'm hoping to encourage and inspire and motivate, are looking at me, and it's like, okay, I see her. Yes, she's able to manage all of this, right? And able to do this with joy and with love and peacefully and doing it in a way where I'm not scattered to every corner while I'm making it happen. So our purpose does evolve as well, and that is okay. That is part of life, right? But our gifts and our talents and our passions and our purpose, like they still matter regardless of what we are facing. And especially when it comes to being a mama, we don't put all that to the side and be like, okay, well, that's who I was pre-kids. That is not what we're doing. And I'm encouraging you to not do that. So if you're doing that right now, if it's all about everybody else and not about you, but it's specifically for this episode, for your children, your child, whatever you may have, yes, they are important, but don't lose you in spite of them. Okay. So, you were a whole person before you had them. You were a whole person. You had dreams, you had goals, you had wishes, desires, all the things. before you had these beautiful blessings, right? But it doesn't mean that you are now half a person or a quarter of a person. You are still a whole person, and you deserve to be seen, and you deserve to be heard and felt and nurtured and loved and all of the things. And you should be a whole person, and people should be able to, tap into that and to pour into that and to see you and to encourage that. It shouldn't be, oh, because you're now this, you have to lose this. You don't. And you shouldn't. And if you feel like you have, please go back and listen to the other episodes or reach out to me. I am here to support and to encourage and to help you to realize that you are meant to be whole, regardless of how many babies you have. Okay? So honor yourself, right? You have to do this. Like, you have to do the work. You have to be like, okay, you know what? You have to teach people how to love you sometimes, right? Like, what do you receive? What do you accept? What are you willing to let slide and let go and be okay with that? But you have to be the one that steps up and does that by honoring yourself first. And so for me, here's a few examples of how you might do that, to just slowly start until you're like, you know what? I deserve this. I've been reaching that level more. Like, I deserve to take a time out. I deserve to do something for me. I deserve to buy something for me, right? But if you're new at this, which is fine, we all start somewhere. Here's a few examples. Doing gratitude journaling. Just having something that guides you, so that you can really think through what you have. Because oftentimes when we're in it and maybe we're starting to feel a little resentful, maybe we're not feeling like anyone sees us or hears us, and it's hurtful, right? So maybe you might feel a little depressed or anxious, because you're trying to do everything. And if not you, then who, right? Maybe you're just facing different negative feelings. And so by shifting your focus and shifting your thought process to, okay, let me just slow down. Let me write it out. So maybe you can start seeing it, so you can start believing it, right? So gratitude journaling. Micro breaks. This is something I've started implementing lately, where you just take 5 to 10 minutes and just decompress, right? So that could be going outside, grounding, right? Taking your shoes off and just getting on some grass. It could be doing some deep breathing. It can be listening to a meditation. Just taking that 5 to 10 minute micro break to just honor yourself and to recenter. A big thing that I do with my oldest, not so much with the twins yet, but with my oldest, I'll do tapping. You can do that on yourself too, right? To just regulate yourself and honor yourself, and just recenter, refocus. Saying yes to something that maybe you won't say yes to because everybody else and all the other responsibilities, and what will someone think? So maybe that's taking time to read or taking time to pray, just slowing down. Maybe it's taking a little nap, just doing something that maybe you wouldn't say yes to. Maybe it's saying, you know what, yes, I'm going to have some ice cream or a Snickers, whatever it is, right? But saying yes to something that maybe you wouldn't ordinarily say yes to. That is also honoring yourself and finding joy and giving yourself purpose and giving yourself meaning and seeing yourself. And then other people, you can start saying, hey, if I'm doing this, you can also help me to do this or do something for me. So what brings you joy outside of motherhood and work and all your other responsibilities? I would even challenge you to write those things down. What brings you joy? What makes you happy? What makes you smile? What makes you take a deep breath and just relax for a minute? Write those down, write those things down, so that anytime you're like, man, you're, high strung because you're trying to deal with so much, and maybe your mind can't even think of something, and you can have it, and you can look at it and be like, let me take one of these things and let me, bring some joy back into my life for a moment. But make more time for that and more space for that. And I often tell myself and tell my friends and tell people that I work with and help, it's like, don't only schedule time, but then take it. You have to take that time. It's great to write it and be like, I'm planning to do this, but then take it and do it. Your future self will say thank you. So, motherhood is not supposed to shrink your purpose. It should be adding to it. We should be using these little people as motivation in itself to do better and to react different and to honor ourselves and honor other people and do all the things that we are encouraging and trying to teach them to do. So motherhood should not be taking away from who you are. I found a quote and I thought it was really beautiful, and I'm going to leave you with this. It says, "You can love your family deeply and yourself fully." So I challenge you this week to do some things for you to find joy and to find peace. And let me know what you chose, because I love to hear and to share with you all. So until next week, take care of yourself, and just know that I love you. All right, bye.